Good morning, Dawgpound South campers. This is the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical L's Network, part of the Fans for Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill. I know I'm running a little late this morning, but kind of slept in a little bit. Been a long week. And it's been a long week at OTAs, and it's been a long week if you're going to want to listen to who has the advantage as a starter for the Cleveland Browns at quarterback. The main problem with this, and I said this Thursday night, if you're having a quarterback competition, that means you don't have one good quarterback. You have potential. You have potential in two second-year players in Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. You're not going to see Taylor Green as the starter. If he's coming in as starter, yikes. That means you've had a lot of injuries. I still maintain that Deshaun Watson is not going to play another down for the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know if you listen to the Cleveland media, Tony Grossi has already said that he believes Deshaun Watson will be the starter. Mary Kay Cabot is hinting that he'll be the starter. But I keep saying this. You got to remember, the guy's a 10-year veteran. You're putting in a brand new offense. His competition are two guys who are in their second year, a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick. I don't care where you thought either one of these guys should have been picked. That's the reality. That's the fact. 32 teams in the NFL felt that these two guys were a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick. So he's competing against two youngins and, of course, a rookie who isn't going to see the field. But you've got to look. It's a process of elimination, right? You've got to look at the probabilities. First of all, Deshaun Watson, like I said, 10-year veteran, three-time Pro Bowler. Of course he's going to pick up the offense real quick. If a 10-year veteran struggles to pick up a new offense, then he's not a very good quarterback. And this is the healthiest he's ever been in a long time. Now, that's not saying much. Again, he's T-shirts, no pressure, only 3 starters on defense at OTAs. It may change a little bit on June 9th when the mandatory training camp starts, when all the veterans have to be there, but I'll wait and see. Sure, the ball should not hit the ground at this point in OTAs. So where the media is getting this, I have no earthly idea. They're pushing a narrative to make money off of you because they know Browns fans, me being one of them, are obsessed with the quarterback position. Again, me being one of them. Sure, you want a good quarterback. You want a great quarterback. Yes, an anomaly will happen like the Seattle Seahawks last year with Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold didn't put the Seahawks on his back and carry them to the playoffs. Last time I checked, they had a hell of a running game, had a hell of a lot of good wide receivers, a good offensive line, and one heck of a defense. That's what took them to the Super Bowl against a New England team who played the easiest schedule in the NFL last year and started 2 rookies on the offensive line. How does that correlate? Well, the Browns are playing the easiest schedule this year, and they will start 2 rookies on the offensive line. I have no doubt that Parker Brailsford will be your center, and of course, Fano is going to be your starting left tackle. How quick these guys gel will be the important thing. But of course, Todd Monken appreciates Deshaun Watson because he can assimilate his offense quickly. And it doesn't take much of a translation for Deshaun Watson to pick this up, 10-year veteran. So, yeah, he is going to look good. But there's only one person who knows who the starting quarterback is going to be, and that's going to be Todd Monken. He will decide that. Nobody outside that building has any idea. Last week, Monken was asked by the media who has a heads up on the competition. I can't remember how they phrased it. Who's leading the competition? And he said no one. Wednesday of this week, Switzer, our offensive coordinator, asked the same question. He said no one. I don't know why you can't understand. And I'll even go further. When the first depth chart comes out before training camp in July, that by the time July training camp starts and by the time August rolls around, it could change completely. So you're looking at a 10-year veteran versus 2 second-year guys. Of course he's going to look good. Let's take a quick break. If you don't know, these quick breaks are for later. We'll put in some advertising in the middle of it. Also, it gives me a second to think about some things. Now, so you're going to hear a lot about Deshaun Watson being the starter. Look, I cannot, and I will die in this hill. I keep saying this. I cannot believe that he will play another down for the Cleveland Browns in a regular season game. He may play a little bit in the preseason. What does it hurt? I mean, so the next question is, what's the quarterback room going to look like? Well, I don't think they're going to give up on Taylor Green. I think Taylor Green goes to the practice squad. So you got to have 2 starters at least. The Browns are notorious, and a lot of teams do the same thing. They name 2 starters, and then they always keep their emergency quarterback. I can't believe Taylor Green's going to be your emergency quarterback. I mean, they could put Deshaun Watson on the practice squad. Nobody's going to touch him because of that contract. And if they do, hallelujah, you can have it. I mean, the contract goes with him. So, and we don't know what's going to happen between Sanders and Gabriel. Right now, Shedeur Sanders, he is impressing. He is picking up. He's looking better than he did last year. But then again, last year, he was probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. But you got to look at the circumstances. Terrible offensive line, no running game whatsoever because they knew the Browns wouldn't pass. So take that into consideration. Dylan Gabriel came into this team having run 3 different offenses in his college career, but he came out and was very tentative. He was afraid to make a mistake, and you can't have that. People call it the yips. I call it the yips. I went back and looked at games that both Sanders and Gabriel started, and they both had their moments, and then they both had their terrible moments. I mean, there was no in between on some of these games. So you've got to consider that those are your 2 options. Just looking numerically, no quarterback's going to fall from a tree. No good quarterback is going to become available. Just remember, this year they're pimping Deshaun Watson. Last year at this time, they were talking about Kenny Pickett. Oh, ball looks good. Coming out of his hands, great. Oh, yeah. So just take it with a grain of salt. Other stuff going on. I am fully convinced. I have gone back and looked at some notes that someone told me about the draft. Spencer Fano was their target right from the beginning. Yes, they thought about the Cowboys deal, but they knew that if Fano was there, that's who they wanted, first round. So that's why they didn't take the Dallas deal, because they were going to get Fano. If they didn't get Fano, they liked Markel Bell and Austin Barber, who they got anyway. So they love Fano. And then they picked up KC Concepcion, who they liked from the beginning as well. Then in the second day, They were targeting Denzel Boston, but they didn't think they had offers. They had offers to move from 39. Um, but as the draft played out, Andrew Berry showed patience, unlike some of the media in Cleveland. Andrew Berry showed patience, and he got his guy. They were thinking they really liked Emmanuel McNeil Warren, but Denzel Boston was somebody they really liked. And so far in OTAs, he's looking like he should have been a first round pick. So when they got him, and just the way the board fell, see, draft experts don't take into consideration the behind the scenes stuff as the draft moves. You have intel on all the other teams. So what you do is you show a little patience, you watch the board as it falls, and then they get Emmanuel McNeil Warren. So they got 4 starters in their first 4 picks. Now, a lot of people, I still see it social media, say, well, Andrew Berry's doing better because he doesn't have Paul DePodesta in the room. Well, I hate to tell you this, but DePodesta was in the room last year, and they had a hell of a good draft. So it wasn't that. It was just he had the draft capital. Finally, after this disastrous Deshaun Watson trade, he had the draft capital to do what he wanted to do, make this roster more talented. Now they're going to be young. I believe they have 10 guys on the roster who are at 5 years or 5 years or more veterans. Only 10. They have 25 new guys on the roster. So it's going to take a while for this team to gel. And if you look at the schedule, I mean, first 4 games, I break schedules down in quarters. But if you look at the first 4 games, you know, they've always played well against Jaguars. And you're catching them very first game. Odd situation down there. Then Tampa. Everybody's trying to hype that as the big revenge game for Baker Mayfield. Why, I don't know. The coach isn't here anymore. Carolina was a playoff team, but they were 8-9 in a terrible division. So, and then you get Pittsburgh on a Thursday night, and usually they beat Pittsburgh at home, especially in prime time. But Mike Tomlin isn't there anymore, and he was like 1-9 or 1-8 on Thursday nights. So it's, you know, I said last week that it was the league giving the Browns a finger, and I still kind of feel that way. But there are parts of this schedule that they can overcome. You look at week 5, they're at the Jets. Geno Smith is their quarterback. Last time we saw Geno Smith versus Browns, he was sacked 10 times. Then you go to Baltimore. That ain't going to be easy. Then you're at the Titans, at the Steelers, and at New Orleans. I could see two wins out of that 3-game stretch. Titans here in Nashville have a brand new coaching staff. They're working through some things right now. They still haven't decided on who's going to be their starting offensive line, even though they've got a couple first-round picks and a couple high-dollar guys on there. Then they host the Texans, and then they get a bye. We don't know about the Texans. They'll go as far as C.J. Stroud will go, but C.J. Stroud, he's getting worse and worse every year. I mean, he would look great as a rookie, but every year since then, he's getting worse and worse. So I don't know what's going on in his head. Then they get the Raiders at home. There's a change of pace. We'll see what happens there. The first-round draft pick, will he still be starting? Will he be hurt? Will he, we don't know anything about that. Then they get Cincinnati at home, and then Kevin Stefanski comes back, and they get Atlanta. Out of that 4-game out of 5 weeks, they are each winnable games. It'll depend on how this team gels. and what they get out of the quarterback position. We'll know by then what this team is going to do, offensive line wise, running back wise, especially quarterback wise. By that point, I don't mind the bye being at the week 11. That's fine by me. Then you go in the last 4 games: at Giants, at Baltimore, host Indy, at Cincinnati. I'm not sold on the Giants, and I'm not sold on Indy. Who's their quarterback? Who's Indy's quarterback? So, yeah. Vegas has them at 6.5, which is about this time of year, which is about right. If they can just, I mean, the league averaged, the Browns scored a touchdown less than the league average last year. That's how bad this offense was. And it was bad for several reasons. No quarterback, no offensive line. And when you have no offensive line and no quarterback, you have no running game. Because defenses load the box. I'm shocked how much yardage Quinshon Judkins got with that offensive line and the defense targeting the run. That's astonishing. So that's your factor. But it all starts with the quarterback. And I do not think it's going to be Deshaun Watson. I may be surprised. Todd Monken may come out and name him the starter right beginning of July. I would be shocked if that happened. Yes, he is healthy, but is he game ready, healthy? That's the question we're going to find out in training camp when they put pads and helmets and they're going against each other. That's why that Buffalo scrimmage is so important. You know, preseason games can be nice. I mean, I like them because I get to see the Browns on TV in game conditions, and that makes me feel good. But that Buffalo scrimmage, that's going to say a lot. All right. Well, that's it for today. I'm glad you joined me today. I know the Cavs disappointed, so now we got to talk about the quarterback again forever. I'm hoping the Guardians go on a nice tear here. Just win series, baby. Just win every series, and I'll be happy. So we're going to listen to more quarterback garbage from the media. Just remember, it's a process of an elimination. No quarterback's going to fall out of a tree. Don't talk about Sorsby. Reports came out he bet heavily on Indiana. The NFL hates players who gamble. If he gets picked, I doubt he will, in the supplemental draft, he will be immediately suspended for a year. So why waste a draft pick on somebody who's not even going to sniff playing? He's going to be suspended as soon as he gets into the league. The NFL will suspend him for a year. He'll have no other choice. So I don't know who would sign him. Somebody with a couple of good quarterbacks might give him a shot just to have his rights. But that ain't the Browns. Browns got enough trouble. They've got to convert one of 2 second-year players into an NFL starter because Deshaun Watson ain't going to be playing for this team. And if Todd Monken thinks that he's going to look, if Monken names him the starter and he goes out and wins 12 games, hoorah, man, I'm with it. But I just don't see it happening. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. This has been the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound podcast, part of the Fanatical L's Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill. Thank you for watching, listening, subscribing, and following us here at the Fanatical L's Network. We will have more as the season rolls around. We're going to have a dead period here after June 11th. Remember, mandatory June 9th through 11th. That's when all the veterans have to be there. They'll still be in t-shirts and shorts, but there will be starters playing defense. Not just 3 guys, more like 10 or 11 guys. That's what I want to see. So everybody have a great day. Thank you for joining me. And of course, go Browns.